welcome back to the ChromaticKnits podcast. My name is Michelle, and this is my place on the internet where I talk about my yarny adventures. You can find me on Instagram as chromatic_knits, and you can find me on Ravelry as ChromaticKnits. I have a lot of knitting to show you today. It's been a couple weeks since my last podcast, and some things have built up, and I've been working on a lot of things, so feel free to grab your own knitting, your crochet, whatever it is that you're working on, or maybe you're just folding some laundry or taking a break with a nice cup of tea, and I would love to spend some time with you. So first of all, excuse me, before someone asks, this shirt is from Nitty Natty Shop, so you can find all of these different definitions. This one I really love. It has the definition of knitting on it, and it's like what I would like to be doing right now, what I would rather be doing right now at the bottom, which is I think it's hilarious. But there's other ones. There's like yarn chicken and a bunch of other definitions. So if you want to check that out, go to Nitty Natty Shop. She has those available there. And it is now spring. That is a new update. The weather is still working it out, right? Some people got huge snow up in the north, like blizzard conditions. In the south, we're getting tornadoes. I know here we almost got hit by a tornado just south of us. It was completely just wrecked by tornadoes. We got lucky. They said that we were in like the red section on the weather map. They were like, yeah, if you live here, it's gonna be bad. I was like, oh no. And then luckily we didn't really get much of anything. We got a little bit of wind, we got some rain, and that was it. But it was just kind of that calm. Everything was just very calm for a while. Like we were waiting for the storm, like that calm before the storm. And I was just kind of waiting for it to hit. Luckily, it never came for us, but it came for some other people. So there's a lot of fundraising and other things going on to help support those communities that have been hit. I know Little Rock was hit, Wynne, Arkansas. Their whole high school was demolished. A lot of houses were hit. Some people in Tennessee. Just a lot of debris, destruction, but luckily there weren't a lot of people in those places at the time, which is good. But it did hit some people's houses, which was very scary. And honestly, I don't know what I would have done other than just hide in a closet kind of situation. There's even a video that my partner found where this lady is like in her shop and they're trying to hold the door shut, and there's a tornado. Like you can see the tornado in front of them, and this lady got sucked out of the store and somehow hung on to her phone the whole time. Like she was like holding on with a death grip, and her husband like reached out and grabbed her and pulled her back into the store somehow. So she got very lucky, but yeah, all of a sudden she was just in the parking lot instead of inside the store. So just a lot of videos like that going around the internet. So yeah, if you just look up like Arkansas tornado 2023, it'll come up. Or Tennessee, or I think Alabama has been hit. And they're saying the on the Weather Channel, I saw an article where they said that basically with the world warming up, it's only going to get worse. The amount of tornadoes and storms is only going to get worse. So I'm like, oh, good. Something to look forward to. But as somebody who grew up in the north where there aren't as many tornadoes, I'm like not prepared ever. I'm like, okay, so this is gonna happen. Like there's nothing I can do about it because I can't control the weather, but I'm just going to be in the safest place in the house as much as possible. And that's all we can really do, but we can help. I've been one of the local bookstores here is doing a donation drive for one of the high schools that was destroyed and some other things. So I'm reaching out to them to, do donations or to help purchase books for them or whatever I can do to help. So a lot of things like that. If there's something in your community or where you are, I hope that you and your family are safe and that you know, we can rebuild, and that you have that community support through all of this. Not to start on a downer, but that did happen, so gotta go with what we got. Okay, so let's get into some knitting things. So like I said, I did make some progress. The width that I made the most progress on is, oh, I finished something. Hold on. I finished a mitten. So for those of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I've been making a mitten advent calendar forever. So I finished the first one, and now I'm on to the second one, and I finished another mitten over the last couple of weeks. So this is number 9 in my second set of 25 days. And I've started number 10. So it's just the cast on, really. It's just the Latvian braid that starts it off. If you can see that. See the Latvian braid there? Yeah. So the Latvian braid, and then the number 11. And I think I've done number 10, but we'll double check. What is this? Yeah, I've done number 10. So there's number 10 as well. So these patterns are really addicting. I will give you that so you can see the 10 better without that string in front. So I got 9, 10, and 11 is started. Again, for those of you who have been watching, you know, but the recommended yarn for this pattern, so this is the Mitten Advent Garland pattern. You can find it on Ravelry. I've talked about it before, so you can check that out as well. The recommended yarn is Knit Picks Palette, which is what I'm using. And it basically has 4 colors. So I'm using this gray, which is, let's see, never remember this colorway, Finley Heather. And then there's a red, which is Pimento. There is a white, which is white. And there's a dark gray, which is ash. And you can mix and match. You can use your own colors, whatever colors you want. But those are the colors that I am using for this. And it's coming along. So one more done. One more started. We'll get there. I have one more to make after I finish this set. So we'll just keep working on it. Now, my longest whip that's just been hanging out is my the Coziest Memory Blankets by Kemper Wray. So I've been using a tutorial by Craft House Magic on YouTube. You can check them out. They have a whole tutorial that shows how to make the square, how to pick up the stitches so that they all go the same way. Yes, I know this one's going a different direction. Do I care? No. This is all made out of scrap yarn. So like this green was the separate yarn from this green, or from this gray. This is a different color than this. And then this is its own color. So yeah, so that's coming along. So I've added these two. So I only had this square. So I've added these two in the last 2 weeks. So they don't take a lot of time, but it's just kind of one of those like potato chippy things. Like once you start it, like you just want to finish it because it's so small and you just feel accomplished when you finished it. And I have my new Progress Keeper by Charmed and Dangerous. If you haven't checked them out, definitely would do that. A little unicorn. So cute. Love it. She has an adorable shop and she makes the cutest things. Like I swear she does. So check that out, but you got to be quick, especially if you want one of the narwhals. You got to be quick. You got to be on it when she does her shop updates. So, and I'm doing this whole thing in fingering weight yarn. So just random scraps from socks that I've made. This was a sample from Miss Babs. This was a pair of socks that I made for my partner. This was a pair of socks that I made for my partner. This is just a random scrap from a leftover mini. This is a random scrap from a leftover mini. So there's that. coming together, and it's in my Pampa bucket bag, which I love, which I haven't shown on here in a while. This is from Hohi & Co. So she and her mother found different artists in their area to design different bags. This is just a canvas bag with the design of a woman knitting on it. It's adorable. So there's that. And then, like I said, the one that I've made the most progress on is my Habitation throw. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart. And I'm using a kit from a Homespun House in her soft sock base. And let's see. So I'm not dropping stitches here. Okay, so last time I showed this, I was where that little hedgehog is. See it right there? So I have done all of this since then. So I am now, which is a lot, which is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 15 minis in there. I'm on a decrease, so you can see this corner. This is where the decrease is started. So I'm starting to decrease. So I'm more than halfway done with this pattern. This is the best. Like, it's just straight up garter stitch, and then there's one row of pattern. Like, and then you just have to do the decreases and the increases. Like, love it to death. And it has an I-cord bind off, which I also love. Like, you cannot go wrong with this pattern. So this is probably the first of 2 that I'll be making of this as well, but this is for my niece for Christmas. So, plus this yarn, like, I can't even explain how squishable it is. I just love Molly's yarn. The Homespun House is Molly. She's the dyer. Oh my gosh. I just love it so much. I swear, there's like some German crack in this yarn that just like makes it so soft. I don't know. Some level of magic. But I still have the blues and the purples left to go on that. But that is coming along with my Della Q bag, my black rainbow bag that I got from Jimmy Bean's Wool. Love this bag. Would highly recommend. And then the last thing that I've worked on is my collar crop top. I was about to say collar tank top, but it's not. It's a collar crop top. Again, I'm knitting this in the plume colorway of the Gloss yarn by Knit Picks. This is by Pip Pin. I never remember who. I'm so bad at remembering names and things, guys. Like, so bad. But let's see where I was. Last time, I was here. It's there. So it's just going straight down here. So it's a few inches there. And this, again, is new, and I love it. And it's also by Charmed and Dangerous. It's a little bunny donut for Easter. I love it so much. Like, it's so adorable. I swear to gosh, she has the most adorable things. Like, I can't even. Anyway, so I've been working on this. This is my first garment in fingering weight because I am a glutton for punishment, apparently. But it's coming along. I am now doing the body of it with decrease rows every few rows. I'm not going to say exactly how many because it's part of the pattern. So yes, we're getting some of those decrease rows going here. And yeah, it's just super easy just knitting in the round, which I love. Again, mindless. Love it. I have also noticed that all of my projects right now are fingering weight, which means that I am a glutton for punishment. And that, so I've been keeping track of how much yarn I've been knitting because that's my challenge for this year, is to knit more yarn than comes into my stash. And everything is fingering weight. So like I'm knitting like hundreds of yards, but the grams is not showing that because it's fingering weight. Like if it was Aran weight, like it'd be way more grams knit up, right? So yeah, I just have to keep reminding myself like it's okay. We'll get there. We just need to get through these projects, get rid of the fingering weight stuff, and we'll be fine. Oh my gosh. And then it is spring, so I have some knitting plans. So my parents and my aunts live in Florida, and because of that, it's very hot. Like occasionally they'll have a day that it's cold, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's in the 60s." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's 5 degrees outside." Like, whatever. But for them, that's cold. So my plan is that I'm going to knit a shawl for my mother and my aunts in cotton yarn. So it is softer, and it's going to be a more holy pattern, if that makes sense. Like there's going to be more gaps in it, because again, it's warm there. Like this is more for show than for warmth, because they don't need it because they live in Florida. So yeah, so I'm starting that. I have a couple patterns in mind, but one of them that has grabbed my attention is the limestone one skein shawl pattern by Michelle Miller. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and so I'm going to be starting to work on that as soon as the yarn comes in for that. Yeah, I ordered yarn, but it doesn't count yet because it hasn't arrived. It hasn't arrived yet. So yeah, so I have some yarn coming for that because I don't have a lot of cotton yarn. Like the cotton yarn that I have is like Knit Picks dishy that you wouldn't use for a like a garment or like a shawl, really. So I have some Pima cotton coming. That'll be good. So just waiting on that to arrive, and it was super cheap. Like it's Cascade 220, or it's a Cascade brand Pima cotton sport weight yarn, and it was only like $7 a 50-gram skein, and I was like, yes, please. And it was on Eat Sleep Knit, because other places I saw it was like $10 to $15 for a 50-gram skein, and I was like, I'll just get the $7 one. That'll be great. 10 out of 10. So I'm going to make this first one for my mother, and then I'm going to make a different pattern for each of them. Like my mother and my aunts will each get a different one because I don't want to make them all the same. Because A, that's boring for me, and B, because I don't want them to compare in case I mess it up. Because you know, we never make errors. We never mess things up. I'll totally mess it up. Yeah, so I don't want them comparing. Not that, not that I'm saying I'm a bad knitter, not that I'm planning on making lots of mistakes. I'm just saying it's gonna happen. And if I notice that something happened like a few like rows ago in lace, like, and if it's not that noticeable, like, I'm not fixing it. But that's just me. I'm that person, because I know that they're not gonna know the difference. But if they compare it to each other's, then they might notice. So we're just gonna keep that chill for now. We're just gonna pretend that it's totally fine. Everything is fine. Everything is perfect. I never make any errors ever. Just knit them all different designs. It's fine. So that is coming, and I am planning to do that. What are your knitting plans for the spring? I know a lot of people are making videos. They're like, yeah, I'm going to make all these spring tops. I'm going to do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm making the collar crop top, which is fine. And I plan on making more garments after that is over. But maybe not wool garments for summer in Arkansas. Like, yeah, is it like... like there's all these tea patterns, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute, and then I look at it and it's like wool and mohair, and I'm like, about that, like, I live in Arkansas, like I can barely handle wearing cotton clothes, let alone that. Like, I will die. Like, it will happen. Like, I can't handle being outside as it is. Like, period. End of conversation. Like, but in wool, like, no. That is a no. That is a hard pass. Because Arkansas, like last summer, it got up to 117 degrees Fahrenheit, which is crazy. Like, and I honestly thought I was dying. Like, I was so bad. Like, it was so bad. Never want to experience that again. Like, it was warmer in Florida, or it was colder in Florida than it was here. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, how is that even possible? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, in the meantime, I have acquired some new yarn. So I was part of the A Homespun House Patreon because, again, Homespun House is my favorite, like, desert island yarn for sure. So I was part of her Patreon, where she has a Patreon tier where you can get a sock set and you get 3 minis as part of the tier. So this was for February, before I started this mission. So this just came in. This is the sock set for February Patreon. I really love this teal color. And at first I wasn't really sure about this 50-gram skein, but then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna really like that. So I might make myself my first pair of socks out of this. I think it'd be adorable. Plus, it's so soft. Again, the German crack yarn. Like, I don't understand. It's so soft. And then there are 3 minis. So she has like different tiers, where she has like tiers where you just watch the videos, a tier where you get minis, and then a tier where you can get the sock set and the minis. So now I'm on none of the tiers. I'm on the tier where you just watch the videos, not on the yarn receiving tiers. So these colorways are Something Pretty, Puddle Jumper, and Bubblegum. I'm going to assume that this pink is Bubblegum, this blue is Something Pretty, and this is Puddle Jumper, but I don't know. Not sure. But usually these are minis of colorways that she has in the shop. So they're either new colorways to the shop, or they're like not new. They're like new to the shop for this season, but they're not like a new colorway that she's just invented. Does that make sense? So usually I really like this blue one though. It's got all these little teal flecks and orange, all kinds of colors in there. It's kind of like a rusty color. I really like that. And again, this is soft sock base, which I love. Again, the crack German yarn. So those have come in, which means that I have some math to do. So all together with all of my whips. So let's start with, first of all, this together is 100 grams. So the sock set is 70 grams and the minis are 10 10-gram minis. So it's 100 grams total. And then the blanket, so the Habitation throw, I knit 224.77 grams. The mitten, the Advent mitten, I knit 4.65 grams. The Cozy Memories blanket, 6.32 grams. The collar crop top, 31.38 grams. So altogether, I knit 267.12 grams, which, so altogether, that's 167.12 grams out of stash. So I'm in the positive, if that makes sense, for yarn knitted instead of yarn received, because I have knit 167.12 grams more than I received in yarn. So we're working on it. We're getting another 100 grams down. Almost 200 grams down from stash. So I got some stuff in, knit almost 300 grams over the last couple of weeks. So that is good. New things with me. I have finally, as far as like books and entertainment, I have finally started reading the Thorns and Roses series. I just started the first book. I've only finished like the first chapter. Just started it. I really like it so far. It's kind of giving me like Hunger Games vibes though. Like it kind of starts off the same way, which is interesting. So I don't know if that continues, but we'll see. I'm trying to avoid as many spoilers as possible because I am late jumping onto this train. But because all like there are several other books out. I think all the books are out of the series. So yeah, so I've just started that book, but I'm really liking it so far. And then I am a huge Alice in Wonderland fan. Like, love all the Alice in Wonderland movies. Have always loved the story of Alice in Wonderland. The books are super trippy, but I really enjoyed them too. And then I remember that the author was kind of a perv, but you know, you win some, you lose some. And he's dead now, so it's fine. But I just discovered on Disney Plus. So I'd seen a little bit of like Once Upon a Time, like the series that was on, I think it was ABC for a while. But they made one season of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which I'd never heard of before. And I watched the whole season and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Like it kind of mixes like some, if you like Disney and like you like Alice in Wonderland, like you're gonna really like it because it kind of mixes a couple of different Disney stories together. Like it's got kind of like Aladdin, kind of a mix of like Aladdin and Alice in Wonderland together, which is really interesting and I really like it. 10 out of 10. So I've restarted watching it because it's so good. And because I have ADHD, which means that I hyperfixate on things, which means that I watch them on repeat until I absolutely cannot watch them ever again in my life. So, but we are working on it. But yeah, it's so good. Would highly recommend. Like I said, it's on Disney Plus. I don't know where you can find it if you are abroad or other places, but would highly recommend it if you are able to watch it. What else have I been doing? I've played a little bit of Fortnite, the usual things. But yeah, those are the two things. And then I've started watching Gaina's podcast, who is Tales from Cuckoo Land. I started watching her podcast and started watching some of her old vlogs and videos and stuff on her channel. Love her. I've heard of her before because I watch it's This Little Wonderful Life and Little Drops of Wonderful. I watch those podcasts and she talks about Gaina a lot on there because they're friends and they kind of bounce ideas off of each other and they talk about each other's podcasts and stuff like that on their channels, but hadn't really taken the time to look into her channel until this week and I was hooked. Like, show me anything British, show me like daily life things, like love it. Love it. And I love like her, she's just like, this is what we're doing, this is what we've got, this is what we can do. Love it. Plus she's all about like conserving things and reusing things and like, you know, trying to do what's best for the planet if possible, like where you can. So she like composts and does all these other things, which is really interesting to me. I do not do those things, but part of me wants to do those things. So yeah, so it's just really interesting. So if you haven't checked her out, would definitely check that out. Tales from Cuckoo Land on YouTube. And she also has a Patreon, so you can check her out there as well. Yeah, so those are the things that I'm really getting into the past couple of weeks. Is there anything new that you're getting into? I'd love to hear all about it. My challenge for April is that I'm going to be posting every day and showing, well, every weekday. I'm going to be showing every weekday what I'm knitting on while I'm at work. So that is my new goal, and then I might show some other things throughout the month. So things that come in, things that I'm working on, things that I'm experiencing, like if I go to a yarn store or anything like that, which might happen, you never know. Yeah, so that is my plan for this month. So I will be back in a couple weeks' time. I'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment and like down below. I'd really appreciate it. And feel free to subscribe. And I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Happy knitting, everybody.